Has the market gone numb to news? Nothing seems to affect the markets for more than a few minutes or hours. It depends on what the news is. It depends on what the news is. The markets are never going to be numb to news. The markets will always move off of news. But if it's the same news headline over and over and over again, eventually the markets will stop caring about it, just like COVID. When COVID first came around, obviously you saw how much the markets cared about COVID. Then when you had, then the markets didn't care. Then you had Delta variant. Then the markets cared a lot again about COVID. Then all of a sudden the market didn't care about Delta variant anymore. Then Omicron came. Then all of a sudden the markets cared about COVID again. Then all of a sudden the markets didn't give a damn about Omicron. Then you had the Fed becoming a lot more hawkish. That was the first news catalyst that you got in January that caused the sell-off in the markets, was the Fed became hawkish. The Fed was talking about quantitative tightening, which is reducing the size of their balance sheet. And that is what caused this massive sell-off. But eventually the markets have now become numb to the Fed being hawkish. The Fed news of being hawkish, well, we've had that now for about a month and a half. Okay. And the markets now seemingly don't necessarily care too much about it. You also had Russia. The Russia-Ukraine news. This was all Russia-Ukraine. See this move? This was all Russia-Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine. And the day you finally got the invasion, is the day the markets turned around. The markets are always going to care about news, but you have to realize that the stock market is a discount mechanism. The stock market discounts 6 months into the future. So whatever the markets are doing today, it's a reflection of what investors believe will happen, the case that we will be in 6 months from now. Okay. It's like a 6-month discounted mechanism. The stock market tries to predict where we're going to be 6 months from now. And that's why when you have uncertainty, the markets get very uneasy and very upset, because when you cannot forecast where we're going to be 6 months from now because of something that's in the way of that forecast, something that is a gigantic question mark, the markets have a very hard time pricing in that discount. And that's when you get volatility. Why? Because markets are trying to find a price area to discount that 6 month forward. But with a gigantic question mark standing in its way, investors have a hard time doing that. The markets are always going to care about news. That news cycle can only go on for so long. And you're getting into, a point where the markets are no longer caring about, interest rate hikes. I think the next catalyst the market's going to care about is not interest rate hikes. It's balance sheet runoff. That's the next catalyst you need to pay attention to. And when the Fed minutes come out in the next couple of weeks, the minutes are going to be the notes from the previous Fed meeting that happened 2 weeks ago, or about a week ago. That I think is going to be the next catalyst. Balance sheet runoff, quantitative tightening. That's the next news cycle, aside from something escalating with Russia. Obviously, if Russia does something on the border of Poland or the border of Romania or Lithuania, that's going to be a major news catalyst the markets will care about.